of your Introduction to Contract Logix. We set aside an hour and a half for this session. When I look at the list of topics, it probably isn't going to take that long. But again, as long as it takes. And if you have questions, make sure you ask them because I'm here for you. Today's topics, well, let's talk about on Monday. Monday, the agenda was to give you an introduction to the user interface, and I took you through the procedures for adding new contracts into the system. And that also included adding new vendor names as companies and contacts. And we added documents to the system. So we sort of did all of that. And then I gave you some ideas on quick ways to search the database for your contracts. We talked about the quick filter button, which is going to give you your 3 favorite searches you can save on a button and get back to those quickly, and a little bit about power filters and full text search. So that brings us to module number 4, how to link contracts together when there is some kind of a relationship between them. And after that, we're going to talk about email. Now, I'll start out with we're going to examine actually Brad's email account because he's the one who's going to be logged in today because he's got an email account. I don't have one on your system. And so there's a little bit of housekeeping things that need to be done before you can send an email from Contract Logix, and then I'll show you how to do that. And that's all leading up to the last module, which is contract alarms and action items. How can you use this system as a reminder system when contracts are going to expire or renew, things like that. So that's the plan for today, and again, it should take about an hour or so, give or take, and depending on the number of questions. Okay, linking contracts together. So on Monday, I showed you how to add a contract into the system. But many times when you have a contract, there are several related items. There may be, it might be a master agreement. I think the example that you shared with me, Brad, was a bunch of car rentals. Do you want to say that there was like a master agreement with a company and then a lot of,
right. There is a
yeah.
bunch of those, yes.
So those are all related in some way. So it actually makes sense to link them together in the system. So rather than just have them all separate, have them linked. And one of the reasons that you might do that is because you could pull reports on that information or simply see that they are related to each other. And there's a particular procedure that you use to link them. So I'll show you what that procedure looks like. We'll do it. Then there's a couple of places where you can go to actually see the relationships. On the master contract, there's a linked contracts tab. And so you can see a list of all the contracts that are linked. On the browse list, you can display a parent-child tree window pane, which gives you those master, sub, or parent-child records. So when we talk about linking contracts, we're talking about, it's always a hierarchy. We're always talking about a master contract with one or more subcontracts. Now, it could get more complicated than this because we're not limited to just 2 levels, master, sub. Potentially, any one of these subs could have subs of its own, but let's go in a little bit farther than I want to go. So this is basically how it's going to look in the system. You can also, though, think about it in this way, and some of our customers do this. When you have an original agreement, you put it into the system, and maybe at some future time there's an addendum to that agreement. We do this ourselves here at Contract Logix. We use our own database, and if the original agreement calls for a certain number of consulting or training hours, let's use that as that's my world, so that's how I think of things. And then maybe in a year or two you have to purchase some more, hours. So that comes in as an addendum. So what we do is we create a separate record and we link it back to your original agreement so that I can see the whole thing. But I have 2 separate records. And the reason why we do this is because the addendum is going to have, different start dates and different amounts, call for different services. So it's helpful to keep them separate in some ways, but also show that they're related. So here's how you do, oh, I just went to start my own system. Here's how we do that. So what we're going to do now is, I'm going to try this as an experiment anyway. I'm going to have, there we go, we're going to have Brad show his screen, but I'm going to be controlling his screen. All right, so let's see if we can do this. On Monday, first thing I think I'll do is just show how you link two contracts together. And so, did I create a How contract? This is a little bit of a, yeah, I did, a How Industries contract. So this is just sitting by itself. Let's call it a master agreement. I could link this, I could link any other contract to this that I wanted to. But one of the things you have to know about linking is that you always start from the subcontract and link up to the master. So I'm not going to open up the master agreement to do the linking. I'm going to open up one of the subcontracts. Do we have anything in here with sample company? Let's do a search. Oh, we don't. Let's see. What can we link to it? That's clear. Do we have any just kind of, I'm just kind of poking around, not knowing. Probably doesn't matter because I can always remove the link. These are all master agreements. Oh, well, here's an example. Something like an exhibit might be a separate record, and then you might want to link it to this. So I'm gonna, that one's already linked. By the way, these green indicator lights show contracts that are already linked. So all these schedules, they're already linked. Let's pick something that's not linked yet. Okay.
If
so,
you want to, you're welcome to also pick one of mine. This is Shalene.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick one that's expired. I've got a lot that are expired.
How about this one?
Sure.
Okay. And just ignore the fact that it says master agreement because that's just a field. But okay, so let's do this. And by the way, we'll remove the link afterwards so that I'm not leaving traces in your system. Well, let's say that this IT services is actually a subcontract of the How contract. So I'm going to pull it up, double click on it. And I'm going to use this field over here that says Master Contract ID, and that's exactly what's going to go in that field, the number and the company name of the master for this Rapid7 contract. But I can't type directly in the field. What you do is you do a search for the master, and to do that you can click on this cute little icon that's got the binoculars. Get it? Search. I just love that. And then you're going to search on your master. So you can search using whatever field you like. I happen to know the name of my master contract company is How, so I'll use that as my search criteria. But you could search on anything else that will help you get to that. And if you have multiple hits after searching, that's fine. You just click to select your master. And then press select. And that will transfer the contract ID number and the name into the master contract field. And that's it. That's how you link. Then you save. Okay. So now if I go back to the search screen, that contract now has the green, again, that little green just says that it's linked. And if I look for How, that will also be linked. You got the green. Okay. In the master, I'm going to pull up that How contract. You now have a new tab. Now this tab here, Linked Contracts, does not appear unless you're looking at the master. Let's take a look at it. It tells me, oh, the Rapid7 contract is a subcontract of this one. These are the links or the child records. Now you can't use this to access that contract. In other words, double-clicking doesn't work. It's simply informational. If I pull up contract 381, so you see me doing using these search fields a lot. Okay, so this is 381. This one is the one we just had open. Notice there's no linked contracts tab because you only see that in master. But I have this that tells me that I'm linked. Okay, so if you're looking at an individual record, you can see the links that way. But what if you're just browsing through the list and looking to see, well, this one's green, what is it linked to? But I can't see it here. Well, actually you can, but you have to open up that parent-child tree pane in order to see those links. Okay, here's how you can do that. In your Easy menu, you can select Display, or if you're not using the Easy menu, let's say that that's turned off, you can simply right-click in the browse list and choose Display. What this does is it brings up a dialog box that allows you to customize or modify how the browse is displayed, how the whole search tab is displayed actually. And there are actually several things you can do, but we're concentrating on just this one. Turn on the display of the contract parent-child tree and position it on the right-hand side of the screen. That was the default. You can go left or right. So it's going to appear over in this area. Now sometimes when you select that, it needs to close the contract folder and reopen it. This time it didn't have to do that, but if it does, the system will do it for you. So just wait. Okay, now I see a related contracts pane that shows me my master and my subcontract. And you can see it's indented a little bit. And I can use this list to access contracts. Let's look at some other contract. Let's find something else that's got a link. Anything with green. Oh, okay. Mike, this is the one that you showed me last week, Brad. Mike Albert Leasing Inc. So this is the master agreement. These are all, let's take a look what these are. Linked to it. Schedule A's. The particular unit. Okay. Anyone have questions about that? By the way, when I look at this, one of the comments I had when I first saw this was you don't really see a lot of information about the records here. There's a default set of fields that get displayed in your linked window. You can modify that. You can right-click in the link window and go to Settings. So you might want to experiment with exactly what information is being shown. So right now we're seeing the company name, the owner, and the contract ID. Okay, but there are other things you could display, and you can change the order of them. Maybe the contract type would be helpful, or the category might be helpful to see as well. So you can kind of play around with those settings to maybe make this information a little bit more useful as you're looking at it here in the list.
You can't include any of those customized fields, though. Is that correct?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's true.
That was a little more specific.
Yeah, they're quite. Okay. It's a standard list of about 8 or 9 fields that can be displayed.
Unfortunately, it's our like customized field that makes
they're the ones that you really want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Not at this time. Not
okay.
there.
Okay.
So the only thing I can say, I'll also say though, is because if you do select something here, it jumps over here, and this should be. I mean, this is customizable, and I know that right now it isn't maybe showing as much information as you'd like. This is the standard browse list columns, and I know you're working with Alex, one of our consultants, so one of the things you might want to talk about with him is maybe changing this browse list up a little bit to include some of those custom fields that might be helpful as you're browsing. So although we can't show them over here, if you select something over here, the selection row drops down to that, and then maybe from there you could pick up the custom data that you're looking for.
Is that a universal display for any of us that log in? For example, Brad might have some very different custom fields than I would in IT.
Well, no, it's I don't know whether it is right now, but it doesn't have to be. But it's not based on a user; it's based on the contract category.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it is possible to create custom views and link them to a category. So, and again, I'm not sure.
Shalene, you're talking about this view, right, as far as the columns here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the columns there. You know, you've seen the number of Cisco agreements I have, and I see the number of lease agreements you have, and it'd be so helpful to be able to identify quickly which one is which,
Mm-hmm.
the one that you're looking for. But I guess you're working with Alex on that, so okay.
Yeah, so you might want to make sure that there's at least the two different views. Make sure that the search screen is customized in each view, and then, you know, when each of you logs in, the default view that you see here could belong to your area rather than the other person. So you'd see custom information. Okay. Well, as I said, the other way to think about this, and I don't know, you know, how often you might have to do this, but you can also create links. You can actually copy an existing record and make a subcontract out of it. So that might be helpful sometimes. So I'm going to do this. And the way I usually think of it as an original and addendum, but it doesn't have to be. It could be the master and the sub. Oh. I keep doing that. All right. So again, I'll use my little fake record here. Okay, so let's say that this is my master agreement, but then I get an addendum to it at some point. I can copy a record. So many different ways to do it. You can do it from the contract menu. You can do it. I like to do it just from here. Right-click and copy contract. But not only am I going to make a duplicate of that contract 404, I'm also going to, I will duplicate it, but I'll also make that new one a subcontract of the one that's selected. So this is a really easy way to create an addendum to a contract. So copy and create subcontract comes up. In the selector box, you have a check mark for everything that you want copied to the new record. So right now the only thing that's checked is the little details window. All of these are separate little windows on the details tab. Okay, so at least I'll copy the company name and the category and things like that. It will give it a new contract ID, of course. Every new record has a unique number. But maybe I don't want to copy the dates, because maybe the whole reason I'm doing this is because there are new dates for that addendum. I may or may not want to copy the custom data. So you decide. You know, maybe I want to copy the contacts. Those often stay the same in this case. So I'll go ahead and do that. Probably won't want to copy the documents if there are any, or action items. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is doing two things. It's duplicating the How Enterprises record, and it's linking the new record back up to How Enterprises as a sub. And it's just telling me I've got a field I have to fill in. And there it is. It's now, this is contract 408, but all of this information was copied over, and none of that. So my date fields are blank. That was copied. That was copied. And I didn't copy any of this. The key thing is that it's already connected. It's already linked. So I don't have to do that search and link back up. So I kind of killed two birds with one stone there. And then if I look back at my record, we can see this is the sub and this is the master. Okay. Now this one, let me use this as my example since this was a real contract. Let's say you link to the wrong thing, or you simply want to break the link. It shouldn't be linked. So it's very easy to do. Open it up. This is telling me that this contract isn't currently displayed in the browse screen, but that's okay. I'll just say okay. I really just want to open it. Okay, so we don't really want to link the Rapid7 contract to Howe Industries, so I'm going to remove the link by just selecting the blank line in the master contract field and saving. And that's it. Now they're no longer linked. Okay. Okay, any questions about the linking? All right. Well, let's move on now and talk about email. And as I said, there's a couple of little housekeeping things that you need to take care of before you can take advantage of using the email procedures that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show them in Brad's logged in, so I can get to his email account. When you log into the system, if you're getting started menu will probably pop up. One place you can go to do what I'm about to show you is configure email. That's probably the easiest, but you can also, if this doesn't pop up or you're not in there, you can also go to System, Personal Settings, and select Email Account. This Personal Settings is something where you can also go to change your password if you ever have to or want to. But let's go here. Okay, so the email account information is set up already for your outgoing mail server and port number. And you know, I believe if it isn't done already, for most of you, most of this is going to be pre-filled out. Okay, but the one thing that Brad or whoever set this up doesn't know is what your email password is. You see his is in there, it's encrypted. So you will have to supply that. So you'll type in your email password, save it, and I recommend that you hit send test email. Let's test this right now, see if this is going to work. Yeah, this is what you're looking for. In a moment, Brad should be getting an email from the system that just says test is successful. Once you've done that, you're good to go. You can send email from within the system. You can also, if you want to, go back into that personal settings and go to the email signature screen. And I see he doesn't have a signature set up, but you can take and copy your signature from Outlook. And do you use Outlook? I probably asked you this before, or some other program.
Right. Yeah.
We use Lotus Notes.
Oh, Lotus Notes. Okay. Well, I'm sure you probably have signatures in that as well. I don't know, but anyway, you could simply type your signature. But you can copy and paste it from wherever it is and paste it into this window. And so right now, Brad doesn't have his set up, and that just means that he can send email, but it won't have a signature. Once you put it in there, what you want to do is save it and then hit enabled. Because if it's not enabled, it won't use it even if it's in this screen. Okay. And you can also select this, blind copy myself by default. What that does is then if you do send an email from this system, it will put a copy in your inbox. It'll BCC yourself. So those are choices you have. Okay, so next, how to send an email. It's pretty simple. Let's say I'm in this contract and I want to send an email to the vendor. Okay, I can select email right up here. Okay, you get this email form. I can address it right here. Now, when I set up that contact, if I put the email address in to the contact screen, then I can do this. Click to, don't know if I did. It will automatically know which contract you're in and pull up that company name. So it's kind of nice. Let me see. Did I put my email address in? Probably not. No, I didn't bother. But if I'd filled this in, all I would have to do is select the name, and it would drop my email address into here. I have to type it. Okay. Just in case you're curious, if you want to send an email to someone else at MEMIC from within Contract Logix, you can also pull that. You go to 2, and this takes you to your contacts, but change it to say our company and search on your company. All right, and there's all of you. So I could, and then your emails will be in there, so you can select a name and send it. Let's see, when you're in here, make sure you're in here. Oh, wouldn't you know, your email isn't in here. Who else is in the class that I can send to? Well, I can send it to Shalene. Let's see if you're in there. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's going to go to both of us. And CC and BCC work exactly the same way. You can click these buttons to go pick the contacts out, or you can simply type the address. And then you can type your email and whatever. I have a question about the terms of this contract. This is actually from Brad, isn't it? Because I'm Brad right now. Okay, so that's basically how you send an email. There's your send button right down here. This field, though, is kind of interesting. Let's see if you've got any templates set up. Okay. Yeah. There's a couple of templates already set up in here. The system comes with the example template. Looks like someone there has already set up a few templates. Here's what a template does for you. Let me see if I can save this. Okay. I don't know if that'll work, but let's say I am putting in a notice. These all look like date alarm templates, don't they? Let's just take a peek. I might want. Yeah, this is a good one to use for a date alarm, and we're going to get to that next. So let's just not use that. There we go. So quick question about the contract. I send it. When you send it, the window disappears and the email goes out, hopefully. Let's see if I get it. I think I just got it.
I got it.
Yep. Yeah, I just got it too. Okay, so that's how you send an email. There are some shortcuts you can use for sending email. For example, if I wanted to send an email to Carly here, the email address is already there. You can right-click and select email, and it pre-fills in that person's email address. So if you've added them as a contact, it's really fast to send an email to them. But again, you don't have to do that. If you want to send somebody a document, if you go to the Document Manager tab and highlight the document or documents that you want to send, so maybe I need to send a copy of the final signed agreement to somebody, maybe back to the vendor, you can highlight it before you press the email button, and just if the first time you do that, the little message pops up, just say OK, and it automatically attaches the document. Okay. Now, if you're not on the Document Manager tab, you cancel out, you can still attach a document. Right. So again, if I need to send, won't worry about who it's going to. But if I forgot to attach the document, I can select from Document Manager, this icon, and then I can check off whatever documents I want to send. They'll be listed here. These are just the documents for the current contract, although you can go searching for others. These other two buttons, this one from File allows you to attach something that's not in Contract Logix, so you can browse to any file for an attachment, and this one you won't be using. This is a document library that you won't have anything in it, so that's for one of our optional modules. So either one of these two buttons for an attachment. Okay. The next question is, where can I go to see the emails that I've sent from the system? And the answer to that is in the Email Manager. You can either go here or you can go to this button up here. So it'll take you to the same place. Email Manager has a Sent Items folder in it. And there's the email right there. Karen Howe, hi there, I have a question. So it keeps a record of any emails that you send from the system and puts them in your sent folder. You will not be using the inbox. That's not a feature that your company has purchased, so you can ignore that. You can delete items from here if you want to. They'll show up in the delete items list, and then you can clean that up. It's similar to, well, I'm more familiar with Outlook, not so much Lotus Notes, but I think most email programs kind of work like that. Okay. Any questions about this? I didn't go over auto receive options because that's not part of your system. So we only talked about sending emails. Okay.